the present tense. So, when you conjugate verbs in the present tense, you have to remember that there are 3 kinds of basic verbs. There are AR verbs, there are IR verbs, there are ER verbs. So AR, ER, and IR verbs. Okay? And they have several things in common. The main thing they have in common is that they all have 6 forms. These are the that go along with the various pronouns. So you have yo, tu, él, ella, usted. And you have nosotros and vosotros and ellos, ellas, ustedes. Alright, so once you know these various pronouns, you can use them to conjugate your verbs. So, you have for AR verbs, let's talk about the AR endings. So you have your yo ending, which is O. You have your tu ending, which is as. You have your LA usted ending, which is a. You have your nosotros ending, which is amos. You have your vosotros ending, which is ais. This is only used in Spain. And you have your ellos, ellas, ustedes ending, which is on. So, for example, if I were speaking about myself, I would say, yo. So you may be asking, how did I get to this point? Well, you do that by following the rules. These are the rules. The first thing is you start with the infinitive. That's the verb in its original state. And when it's in the original state, it does have the AR ending. Okay, and the second thing you're going to do is remove the ending, the infinitive. And then the last thing you're going to do is add the corresponding ending. To add the corresponding ending. Alright, so as in my example here, we started out with hablar. I remove the AR ending, and then I add the corresponding ending, and I end up with yo. If I'm going to go on and talk about you talking, I will start off again with hablar, take off the AR ending, and add, of course, because 2 is AS, we're going to add hablas. Alright, so now you have an idea about what it is like to do this with AR verbs. Let's look at what the ER endings are. So our ER endings are O, es, a, hemos, E, A. All right, so a good verb to use for this would be correr. Correr, of course, means to run. Correr. And if I wanted to say that I run, again, I'm going to remove the ER ending and say I run. Yo corro. Okay? And if I were going to say that you run, it would be tú corres. Okay? And if I were going to say we all run, it would be nosotros corremos. If I wanted to talk about your friends, I would say that sus amigos corren. Okay. And then, of course, we have our IR verbs, and they have their own set of endings, which are very similar to the ER endings. They are, of course, yo ends in O for all present tense verbs, and then we have ace again, and then we have a, and then here's where the differences start to happen. You have imos, you have is, and then you have a. So, for example, here we could go with abrir, which means to open. And again, we would have our 6 forms. I would start off with our yo form and say, yo abro, tú abres, él, ella, usted abre, nosotros abrimos, vosotros abrís, ellas and ellas and ustedes. A different verb here is abre. So this is pretty much what you do in order to conjugate verbs in the present